Well, there he is. He's on the second floor of the cat condo. Edmund Tuxedo Scratchy Cassavetes. It's a good name, kitty.
Lemon?
Yeah, do lemon pepper.
Okay. So one lemon pepper, and you do have buffalo sauce at home. Garlic crunch.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that.
Stores. Yeah, we don't get people. Yeah.
That's hot honey, sweet garlic, and sweet sriracha and hot honey rub. Okay.
It's fine, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, this is the new honey thing. Okay, cool.
So there's
Appreciate
that
it.
garlic one,
Yeah.
and then the other one's the sriracha.
That looks good. Thanks for the honey trigger. I'm gonna try.
No, you can't tell them. Taste it before the ranch.
I will definitely taste it. I do appreciate that. What's it called again? It's called honey or something?
If you're paying attention, that's sweet garlic. If you're paying attention.
All right, it's known as a sweet garlic.
Yes. I think so. Really good. Good flavors.
And that's the sweet sriracha.
I believe so, but I don't know so.
Is it good? And that, what's this one right here called? What's that one called? Ranch. This one, it might be sriracha. The dressings here are pretty nice too. Just needs a little bit of cleaning. They finish this puppy like within, I don't know, I'd say like 10 minutes. All right, it is a Friday, January 23rd, 2026, about 5:30. Just went by Wingstop, tried some of their garlic wings and the honey wings. They're really, really good. All right, welcome to the Please Subscribe Show. Hi, I'm Cole. Welcome to the Please Subscribe Show. So it's going to be a cold one. It is slightly drizzly now, but we decided we're going to pick up food at restaurants and drop it off at your doorstep. And I do invite you to join me. Will you? Huh? Will you? That's my catch. Will you? I think if you will it. All right, so, okay, my temperature right here on my car is saying 38, and I'm resetting my accumulated info. I did about 90 miles last time. We're gonna look at two different apps. We're gonna look at the Apple Weather, and we're gonna look at WeatherBug. All right, so right now, Apple Weather is actually saying 42, with a high of 53 and a low of 35 degrees. I'm gonna switch it over to WeatherBug. It's saying 36, and my car is saying 37. Okay, and a high of 51 and a low of 30. Now, here's the rub. It is going to freeze tonight, but not until early morning. If it does go below 32, we'll head back. But it's supposed to get to 30 tonight. Okay, a high of 51 and a low of 30. Now, tomorrow, that's kind of increased a little bit from yesterday's reading. It'll be 29 degrees at a high and a low of 16, and all of this will be frozen. Now, on Sunday, it'll be a high of 23 and a low of 6 degrees. So we'll have to watch out on Sunday because that'll freeze. Monday, it's saying 31, so we may be stuck in Monday too. with a low of 18. Then Tuesday, it's going to melt. All right. Could do it on Monday, maybe, hopefully. But let's plan for Tuesday. That's what I'm doing. I'm planning for Tuesday to get better. And then we have sunshine throughout the week, throughout the rest of the week. Let's look at this one right here. This Thursday coming up, it's going to be a 40 and a low of 31. And then Friday, it'll be a high of 40 and a low of 31. All right. So pretty cold next weekend too. There's the butterfly. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. I did take a photo of some Oscar predictions. So I'm kind of an Oscar nut when it comes down to Oscar time. Supposedly the rumor is they're going to switch the Oscars over to YouTube in 2029. That's what I've heard. So you'll be able to watch it live on YouTube 2029. All right. So let's look at these and see what it's saying and what my predictions are. And I've got some new stuff because I'm watching trailers only. All right, I'm only looking at Best Actor right now. So Timothy Chalamet has a really good chance with Marty Supreme. I've seen some of the trailers. He looks amazing. Agility, the character's there, emotion looks like it's there. It looks like it's dynamic. It looks like an Oscar win. That's for Timothy with 2 E's. Chalamet. He's a good actor. He played Bob Dylan recently. He should have probably won for Bob Dylan. Leo's performance, though, in One Battle After Another, is dangerously good. He got nominated. I would not be surprised if I didn't watch. I would not be surprised if Leo walks away with a new. With a second Oscar for Best Actor. I would not be surprised. They're like, Leo got it, and I was like, okay. One Battle After Another. It's a big possibility. The performance looks incredible just from the trailer alone. I watched the trailer again, and I was really impressed. Watch out for this guy, Ethan Hawke, too. Character-wise, he has them all beat. He plays a short playwright, or actually he's a producer for Oklahoma, Blue Moon. If you know anything about Oklahoma, he actually has a good chance of winning. He plays this like short, bald guy. And then there's Michael B. Jordan. It looks pretty amazing, too. Very physical performance. Plays like, it's part of like a vampire movie called Sinners. It looks like a very emotional performance. Then there's Wagner Moura, the secret agent. That would be an upset if he got that from what I've seen on the trailer, because his performance is very subtle, and it usually doesn't go to that one. But it did for Benicio del Toro in Traffic when he won for Best Supporting. Benicio is also up for a Best Supporting Actor nominee for One Battle After Another. He plays the sensei guy, and that's the best I can do on that. So who would I probably say it's down to? I've kind of cornered it down to 2 people. So if I'm looking at right here, I'm saying probably, I don't know if I'm right about this, Timothy and Leo, because they're the 2 at the top. Timothy Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio. Those are the 2 I'd probably nail it down to. And then I'd say watch out for Ethan Hawke, because that would be a big upset too. But those are the 3 I would say that have a pretty good chance. Ethan for the character alone, just for the character work. Leo for the emotional depth of that character he played. I believe his name was Bob Ferguson. I can't even remember the character's name. And then, of course, Timothy Chalamet for the agility of playing this professional tennis table champion, Marty Supreme, which is a very in-depth role. Overall, if I had to bet, I'd go with Timothy. That's just my own opinion, from what I've seen on the trailers. All right, and also please subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel, I'll leave my PayPal right here. And also a big thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the notifying bell. All right, here we go. All right, Casa Manana's doing Wizard of Oz after February 15th. Then they'll start Hairspray March 28th, and it'll go, it'll February 28th to March 8th. Almost had it. Casa Manana.
arrive at 5:51 p.m.
All right, you heard it. Insomnia Cookies arriving at 5:51 p.m. 6 minutes, 1.8 for the pickup. Right, cut off. Oh, never mind. Hey, cut back on. Probably not gonna. So what I'm gonna try to do is every time it cuts off like that, get a time on the amount of times that it messes up on this dang cord. Now, real quick on Hairspray, it'll start February 28th and end March 8th. Pretty much got that one. Right, Insomnia Cookies. First, there's 2 orders. 6:19 arrival, 21 minutes, 8.7 miles for order number 1. All right, looks like it will rain, precipitation. It's gonna chill off at 70% at 11, and then 60% at midnight, and continue to rain until the morning. And just keep on, it's gonna keep on until about noon tomorrow. So it'll freeze overnight. All right, you can see now what it does. So it sticks to be deceiving. And then it also, oh, there it goes. That's what it does. Which is what you call distracting. So there will be lawsuits. I don't know if I'll be behind them or not, but it'll happen, especially because of Pure Gear. Someone's got an answer. Media and no response. So it doesn't take long before it messes up, which causes you to keep trying to do it over and over again. About $18 to get the right one at Apple. That's all Verizon had to spend an extra amount. Pure Gear, they probably saved about $10. So in the long run, that was millions. Unless the manager override it and said, no, we'll only have the Apple selected brand, which starts with a B. We'll get to that later, because I can't give you all the information now. So, to counter what they did, you unplug, fully charged. So you unplug, come down this way. You want to hit this button right here if you're in this situation. This will take the portrait off. The portrait lock is off. You turn it like this. Put it in there. Just like that. That's how you counter it. That's called a counter. At least in fencing it is. That they will not be able to mess with because they don't have the encryption codes. So they can't override that. Unless they break the phone itself. But they can give you crappy stuff like this. From this brand. shot for right there. There's the Trinity River.
It's right here.
You should be able to see it. They can give you that and slow you down. Don't ask for it. Say, no, I'll pass on the Pure Gear. Do you have the one that Apple recommends? That's the right language you want to use. Which one does the Apple Store recommend? Don't say, oh, I only want the Apple one. They can rebuke, meaning they can rebuttal that. The salesperson can rebuttal it. So don't say, oh, I just want the Apple USB A to USB C. Don't say that. Say, which one does Apple recommend in their store? So if I go in their store, do they recommend Pure Gear, or do they recommend a different brand? And why don't you have that brand? Because I want one that works. All right, next Insomnia Cookie delivery is going to be at 6:32. 8 minutes, 2.9 miles for the delivery. Something that says now. I don't know, some kind of artwork, and it says now. This is all for some cookies.
It was a cold, blustery day when he walked out of the courthouse for the last time. Some men could put their arms around a crying woman, but it never felt natural to him. He walked down the steps and out the back door and got in his truck and sat there. He couldn't name the feeling. It was sadness, but it was something else besides. And the something else besides was what had him sitting there instead of starting the truck. Not real tall, sort of medium. Was he wearing boots? Yeah, I think he was wearing boots. What kind of boots? I think they might have been ostrich. Expensive boots? Yeah. How badly was he? He turned the salt cellar a half turn on the tabletop. Then he turned it back again. Tell me who you were with. The boy sucked his teeth. He picked up the coffee mug and sipped the coffee and set it down again. You ain't going to help me, are you? I done told you all I know to tell. You seen the report? Did he threaten you? No. What did he look like? Was he Mexican? I don't think so. He was kindly dark complected, is all.
Alright, so this is Lake Worth right here. There's sightings of the Lake Worth monster, which is like a goat man. It was sighted in 1969. A couple was out. They were in a place called Greer Island. And John, I think, Riker, something like that, Riker, was fishing, and his wife Lisa Riker were out there, and she was sitting in the passenger side, basically, you know, just like reading a book, and while he was out fishing. And the goat man, which was 7 feet tall, white hair, almost kind of like a goat and a man with horns, landed on top of her car on the passenger side, and it scratched, I believe, an 18-inch scratch on the passenger side. And the man ran over to the goat man, which is the Lake Worth monster, and he started kind of hitting him and everything. And believe it or not, he ran off. It was a 7 feet tall monster. They reported to the police. There's a police report. Some restaurant that's now called Chenol's, or it was once called Chenol's or something like that, and they used the payphone. The police showed up, then they began a search for the Lake Worth monster, and there was a posse of people, a group of people that went to a place called the Pit, which is not too far from the original sighting. There's a cliff there. I believe it's on Greer Island. Well, the monster appeared at the top of the cliff, running back and forth with a tire with a rim in it. And he threw it like 500 feet. Everyone's like looking, you know, at this monster, and then everyone just takes off running at the same time. They scatter and hide from this supposed monster that ends up running off into the woods. And then they never really saw it again. There was a picture by a guy named Alan Plaster, and he took a photo of it, and they say it's a version of the Sasquatch, and they still have that photo today. It's like a white fur Sasquatch with horns somewhere. And then someone also said it had scales, so they believe it might be an amphibian, so it can be in the water too, as well as walking around the shores.
Looked like he was in shape. In his mid-30s, maybe. Dark hair, dark brown, I think. I don't know, Sheriff. He looked like anybody. Like anybody. The kid looked at his shoes. He looked up at Belle. He didn't look like anybody. I mean, there wasn't nothing unusual looking about him. But he didn't look like anybody you'd want to mess with. When he said something, you damn sure listened. There was a bone sticking out under the skin on his arm, and he didn't pay no more attention to it.
So the kid explains that he gave him a $100 bill for the shirt.
Am I in trouble over this? No. Well, I appreciate it. You don't know where things will take you, do you? No, sir, you don't. I think I learned something from it, if that's any use to you. It is. Do you think DeMarco learned anything?
Sheriff Ed Tom Bell starting the monologue for Part 11 as
I
well.
left to go up there on a Friday evening, and I remember thinking to myself when I left that this was probably another dumb thing I was fixing to do, but I went anyways.
Part 11.
I done talk.
Pizza Hut on the way. 7-Eleven arrival. 6 minutes, 2.3 miles for pickup. There's time. Here's the time, the amount of time, distance. Yeah, 7-Eleven arrival, 6 minutes, 2.3 miles for the pickup. So it goes in that direction. It goes backwards as opposed to when it's up there. All right, remember, Lady Bird, the little small baby elephant
At the zoo. There's the iguana with the cowboy hat. We'll take a peek. It's an iguana with a cowboy hat.
All right, TCU, it started in 1873, about 153 years ago. It's purified Protestant, disciples of Christ. It's also kind of non-denominational in a way, but they are from disciples of Christ, and they're also a research university as well. It's private and pretty expensive too. There's Fuzzy Tacos, and don't forget about Sam Elliott's mural right on the side of John's Grill. It used to be Aardvark, and then it was the Hop before that. But once the House of Pizza. If we can see it, there's the symbol. That's the Pure Gear symbol. What it does, it takes 4 minutes to reset on the Apple CarPlay, and then it'll start to work again, then it sticks, and then it goes out of commission. So it is, got another one at 820 Liquors down that way. There's Pasco High School. And about Pure Gear again, it is a malfunctioning product. So it malfunctions. So 4 minutes to reset, it'll start to work, but then it sticks, and then it just stops working altogether. It will charge, or it'll hold the charge.
$8.20 Liquors, beer, wine, and spirits.
All right, 820 Liquors, 7:30 p.m. arrival, 8 minutes, 3.1 miles for the delivery.
Belief in it I once did. Asked to believe in something I might not hold with the way I once did. That's the problem. I failed at it even when I did.
Flying Fish has $1.50 Gulf oysters. Boy, I said that wrong. Flying Fish has Gulf oysters on Sunday. $1.50. Gulf oysters. All right, Chipotle Mexican Grill on our way. 7:43 p.m. arrival, 7 minutes, 1.3 miles for the pickup. Reported. Good to go. Looks like they got an event going on. There's the fair. Not like it's real popular today, though. It's in the 30s. Chipotle Mexican Grill on the way. 8:08 p.m. arrival. 18 minutes, 12 miles for the delivery.
Loretta did say one thing. She said something to the effect that it wasn't my fault, and I said it was. And I had thought about that too.
Yeah, I don't know if the Loretta thing is actually in the movie as well.
I told her that if you got a bad enough dog in your yard, people will stay out of it. And they didn't. When he got home, she wasn't there, but her car was. He walked out to the barn and her horse was gone. He started to go back to the house, but then he stopped and he thought about her maybe being hurt. And he went to the tack room and got his saddle down and carried it out into the bay and whistled at his horse and watched his head come up over the stall door at the end of the barn with his ears scissoring. He rode out with the reins in one hand, patting the horse. He talked to the horse as he went. Feels good to be hands crossed on the pommel, looking toward the last of the sun, the horse slogging slowly through the loose sandy dirt. That's my heart yonder, he told the horse. It always was. They rode together out to Warner's Well and dismounted and sat under the cottonwoods while the horses... Late in the year, we won't be seeing them much longer. She smiled. Late in the year, she said. You hate it. Leaving here? Leaving here. I'm all right. Because of me, though, ain't it? She smiled. Well, she said, past a certain age, I don't guess there's any such thing as good change. We'll be all right. I think I'm going to like having you home for dinner. I like being home anytime. I remember when Daddy retired, Mama told him, I said for better or for worse, but I didn't say nothing about lunch. Belle smiled. I'll bet she wishes he could come home now. I'll bet she does too. I'll bet I do, for that matter. You'd say that anyways. That's my job. Belle smiled. You wouldn't tell me if I was in the wrong? Nope. What if I wanted you to? Tough. Put it up, she said. It's nice just to be here. Yes, ma'am. It is indeed. Part 12. I'll wake Loretta up just being awake myself. Be laying there and she'll say my name, like asking me if I'm there. Sometimes I'll go in the kitchen and get her a ginger ale, and we'll sit there in the dark. I wish I had her ease.
Hard brake detected.
The world I've seen has not made me a spiritual person. Not like her. She worries about me, too. And she come around behind my chair and put her arms around my neck and bit me on the ear. She's a very young woman in a lot of ways. If I didn't have her, I don't know what I would have. Well, yes, I do. You wouldn't need a box to put it in, neither. It was a cold, blustery day when he walked out of the courthouse for the last time. Some men could put their arms around a crying woman, but it never felt natural to him.
John's on our way. 8:22 arrival, 4 minutes, 2 miles for the pickup. So, according to my analyzation, part 12 is mostly just a monologue from Sheriff Ed Tom Bell. I think that's the only time he does it in the book. And then he goes to part 13.
In my chair and put her arms around my neck and bit me on the ear. She's a very young woman in a lot of ways. If I didn't...
Looks like it's something right over there. All right, Papa John's on the way, 8:36 p.m. 9 minutes, 4.1 mile for the delivery.
The horse slogging slowly through the loose sandy dirt, the red stain of it following them in the still air. That's my heart yonder, he told the horse. It always was. Out to Warner's Well and dismounted and sat under the cottonwoods while the horses grazed. Doves coming into the tanks.
Places, even River Oaks, I'll find that the left-hand turn is like the longest one. That one was, never mind. Sometimes they stick. The ones down there did. They did, before they arrested Linda. But, that's what happens, That's what they told me. Run a red light, they can arrest you, so. I didn't know if that was the case, though, but I found out. It's kind of expensive red light. I might look into it a little bit later. We'll see. False arrest is a pretty big one, though. Yeah, it's a big one. Usually need, they need insurance on it or a lawyer, and you need a lawyer, too, so it's usually the case. But I don't know. Maybe they can. But the lights seem to stick there. Like they'll be red a little too long. They'll probably fix it, though. All right, got one at Sonic. 8:45 p.m. arrival, 6 minutes, 2.3 miles for the pickup. Then after that, roll the roost.
Crazy. That bothers me. It's like they woke up and they don't know how they got where they're at. Well, in a manner of speaking, they don't. At supper this evening, she told me she'd been reading St. John, the Revelations. Anytime I get to talking about how things are, she'll find something in the Bible. So I asked her if Revelations had anything to say about the shape things was taken, and she said she'd let me know. I asked her if there was anything in there.
trying to figure out if I go into the drive-thru or not. I'm gonna check the directions. Mostly just drive-in stalls and patio. Ooh, all-American smashers. Right, Rule the Roost on our way. 8:50 arrival, 2 minutes, 0.3 miles for the pick. Rule the Roost, Nashville hot chicken. All right, Rule the Roost, Nashville's hot chicken. 9:06 arrival, 10 minutes, 3.5 miles for the delivery.
She's a very young woman in a lot of ways. If I didn't have her, I don't know what I would have. Well, yes, I do. You wouldn't need a box to put it in, neither. It was a cold, blustery day when he walked out of the courthouse for the last time. Some men could put their arms around a crying woman, but it never felt natural to him. He walked down the steps and out the back door and got in his truck and sat there. He couldn't name the feeling. It was sadness, but it was something else besides. And the something else besides was what had him sit.
So part 12 is kind of the narrator explaining, I guess we Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, how he felt defeated and that he'd walk out of the courtroom for the last time, and that was worse than death. And then it goes into basically part 13.
Then he started the truck. Part 13. Where you went out the back door of that house, there was a stone water trough in the weeds by the side of the house. A galvanized pipe come off the roof and the trough stayed pretty much full. And I remember stopping there one time and squatting down and looking at it. And I got to thinking about...
Well, Writerlife. Little snack break. It's better than sliced bread.
I think that's what I would like most of all. The other thing is that I have not said much about my father, and I know I have not done him justice. I've been older now than he ever was for almost 20 years, so in a sense, I'm looking back at a younger man. He went on the road trading horses when he was not much more than a boy. He told me the first time or two he got skinned pretty good, but he learned. He said this trader one time, he put his arm around him and he looked down at him and he told him, said, "Son, I'm going to trade with you like you didn't even have a horse." Point being, some people will actually tell you what it is they aim to do to you, and whenever they do, you might want to listen. That stuck with me. He knew about horses, about the color of the moon. And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead, and that he was...
Okay, now, in the movie, he tells the dream to his father. Tommy Lee Jones' character, which is Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, he tells the dream to his father. I believe in the book, in chapter 13, he basically tells the reader the dream. So they must have changed that in the screenplay. I don't know if Cormac, if he changed it in his screenplay version, because he had his own screenplay version. I don't know if that's published or not. But Ethan and Joel Cohen rewrote, or they wrote, I guess you could say rewrote the screenplay. They adapted it from the novel. So they changed that a little bit, which I think that's cool. I think it's a good decision on that one, to have him talk to his father. I can't remember that older actor. I'll have to look him up later. All right, Rule the Roost. 9:17 p.m., 7 minutes, 3.4 miles for the delivery.
A long time.
Torchy Tacos on the way, 9:27 p.m., 2 minutes, 0.4 miles for the pickup.
Got to have been hard to live with, let alone his daddy. He would never have made a lawman. He went to college, I think, 2 years, but he never did finish.
Professor, they used to do this right here in college. Sometimes in our office or in class. Yeah, people eat cheese. Hope she sees that and can annoy her back. Torchy Tacos, where the theme is the devil. I think Beck has a song called Satan Gave Me a Taco or something like that. Look at, there's Torchy right there, the little TCU cowboy hat on. It's by Hampton. All right, Torchy Tacos on the way, 9:41, arrival 5 minutes, 1.5 mile for the delivery. I believe that may have been Pasco High School back in the day. Someone was walking through the old schools of Pasco. They said, well, they'll turn these into apartments one day. And they did. Back in like maybe the 50s or 40s. I think that was Pascal. Next one is spelled W-A-B-I, as in Wabi House. 9:53 p.m. for the arrival. 4 minutes, 1.1 mile for the pickup.
It reaches into Everstrata. You've heard about that, ain't you? Everstrata? You finally get into the sort of breakdown in mercantile ethics that leaves people sitting around out in the desert dead in their vehicles. And by then, it's just too late. She gave me kindly a funny look. So the last thing I told her, and maybe I shouldn't have said it, I told her that you can't have a dope business without dopers. A lot of them are well-dressed and holding down good-paying jobs, too. I said, you might even know some yourself. The other thing is the old people, and I keep coming back to them. They look at me, it's always a question.
There's the WABI house bar up that way. WABI. There's the bar. Do you know what the restroom is? The restroom's not too bad. I think the restaurant's a little nicer though. Sometimes the restroom is nicer than the restaurant. Give it a thumbs up though. I got that, the sink, mirror. WABI house on the way, 10:23 arrival, 19 minutes, 11 miles for the delivery.
They got where they're at. Well, in a manner of speaking, they don't. At supper this evening, she told me she'd been reading St. John.
The order of how it's listed is the time, or the arrival time, the minutes, and the mileage.
He knew about horses, and he was good with them. I've seen him break a few, and he knew what he was doing. Very easy on the horse. Talked to him a lot. He never broke nothing in me, and I owe him more than I would have thought. As the world might look at it, I suppose I was a better man. Bad as that sounds to say, bad as that is to say. That has got to have been hard to live with, let alone his daddy. He would never have made a lawman. He went to college, I think, 2 years, but he never did finish. I've thought about him a lot less than I should have, and I know that ain't right neither. I had 2 dreams about him after he died. I don't remember the first one all that well, but it was about meeting him in town.
All right, so I went over this a few times in this chapter. This chapter, he has 2 dreams. He only tells it to the audience, or to the reader. And one dream is about his dad giving him some money, and then he loses the money like the prodigal son. And the other one is about the man riding the horse with the horn and the light in it. It's like a candle light in it or something, like it's a torchlight.
He just rode on past, and he had this blanket wrapped around him, and he had his head down, and when he rode past, I seen he was carrying fire in a horn, the way people used to do, and I could see the horn from the light inside of it, about the color of the moon. And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead, and that he was fixing to make a fire somewhere out.
Counter. Counter.
More calcium than cheese, they're packed with omega.
Counter successful. Not yet.
I sent one boy to the gas chamber at Huntsville. One and only one. My arrest and my testimony. I went up there and visited with him 2 or 3.
The name of the
I gotta check some things.
I sent one boy to the gas chamber at Huntsville. One. Well, she said, whatever it was, I expect not. Yes, ma'am. I'll wait. Problem. I doubt that it ever was. What do we...
There we go, almost. If I had my way, I'd bring them all in the courtroom. Not right at that point yet, though, in life. It might be one day, though.
Does too. I'll bet I do for that. You didn't say nothing wrong. You'd say that anyway. Tough.
Alright, so we're continuing
Whatever
the
it
count.
was. Point being, some people will actually tell you what it is they aim to do to you. And whenever they do, you might want to listen.
All I know
That
is
stuck
a
with me.
warning on Pure Gear.
He knew about
And
horses,
also,
and he was.
it'll tempt you
I've
to
seen him break
basically
a few, and he
trust in
knew
the
what he
Apple
was
CarPlay,
doing.
and it'll just
Very
stick.
easy on the
So,
horse. Talk to him a lot.
It's irreliable.
He never broke nothing in
And
me.
I think they should draw
And I owe
lawsuits
him
and bring
more
Pure
than I
Gear
would've
into.
thought.
They're a Chinese company,
As
and
the
they
world
should bring
might
them
look at it,
into the courtroom.
I suppose I was a better man.
There'll be a class
Bad as
action
that sounds
suit
to
for
say,
sure.
Bad as that is to say,
Pure Gear will be sued.
that has got to have been hard to live with. Let alone his dad passed
Counter
me and
successful.
kept on going. Never said nothing. He just rode on past, and he had this blanket wrapped around him, and he had his head down, and when he rode past, I seen he was carrying fire in a horn, the way people used to do, and I could see the horn from the light inside of it, about the color of the moon. And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead, and that he was fixing to make a fire somewhere out there in all that dark and all that cold.
So the last line in No Country for Old Men is "Then I woke up." He's talking about a dream. At the very end, he's talking to the audience or the reader. This one's kind of tricky. These are all in the Fossil Creek area. The entrance on these can be tricky, depending on, because I remember I've done these before, and it shows a white line right there for the, I guess the turn point, which would be right here. Which, yeah, it is open. All right, so this time not as bad. And we're in. Okay. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes there's another one. If there's another gate. Yeah, I think these are it. Okay. Right, Papa John's on our way. 10:43 arrival. 12 minutes, 5.9 miles for the pickup.
There's two kinds of people that don't ask a lot of questions. One is too dumb to, and the other don't need to. I'll leave it to you to guess which one I figure him to be. He's just standing there in the hall with his briefcase, like he had all the time in the world. He told me that when he got out of law school, he'd been a defense attorney for a while. He said it made his life too bad. Well, he thought about that, and he nodded, and he said that he pretty much had to agree with that lawyer. He said that if you don't follow the law, right and wrong won't save you. Which I guess I can see the sense of, but it don't change the way I think. Finally,
Thank you for calling Papa John's. We're sorry, but this store is currently closed. Please visit us at www.papajohns.
Got one at Hibachi Grill and then 7-Eleven, and then we'll call it a night. First one, Hibachi Grill. We got chicken, steak, shrimp, caterpillar roll. Okay, caterpillar roll. Probably sushi roll, hurricane roll, sushi. Here's some of their prices. Somebody's getting their hibachi. Anaru? Something like that. All right, 7-Eleven ID check. 11:05 arrival, 6 minutes, 2.3 miles for the pickup. Icy conditions exist. Reduce speed, drive with caution. All right. Probably gone a little quicker personally than ever because there's no one on the road and temperature is everything, and we're only dealing with 35 degrees. It's still pretty wet outside, so it's still drizzling. So that means there's a possibility of wintry mix tomorrow. I thought maybe it was going to dry out, but I guess not. So we'll have wintry mix in the morning. This moisture is just out of control, so it's not too bad. It's not like raining cats and dogs, thank goodness. But it'll be icy tomorrow, but maybe workable. It'll just be cold. It'll be cold and icy. It may not be, I don't know. You'll find out when the weather report comes on the news. I'd probably say watch that. They got an emergency vehicle out at 7-Eleven. They saw a snowflake over there by the corner. He's going after it right now, though. It's one little snowflake, but he's gonna tackle it, or he may have already got it. Yeah, he's going to the next 7-Eleven to see if he can find another snowflake. They're all individual. They're playing the opera music.
$23.71.